Tonight, the gel blaster community up in arms amid strict new regulations and concerns raised over a shortage of doctors in Port Pirie.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. South Australia's gel blaster community is gearing up for a fight following the shock decision to classify the toy as a firearm. It's the latest blow for owners, with businesses forced to shut shop overnight. However, police say misuse of the guns has led to the strict new rules.
A kick in the guts for the gel blaster community. What was meant to be a toy gun, now classified as a firearm.
I'm gutted personally. I was really looking forward to taking up this sport.
Police say the misuse of the guns has forced their hand. Last month, a Whyalla man was arrested after allegedly pointing a gel blaster at a driver. In the past 2 years, there's been more than 180 reported incidents.
There should be a solution to come up with to actually penalise those type of people rather than penalise everybody else in the gel community that are actually having fun on the weekends and doing the right thing.
From today, owners will be required to have a firearm licence and only use the gun at a registered site. But businesses selling the gun say it's putting livelihoods on the line. So
as far as today, we're not firearms dealers, so we're not allowed to trade at all.
Serena says police jumped the gun on classifying the blaster as a firearm and would have liked to see police trial a hobby licence. In Queensland, you don't need a firearm licence, but will be fined for misusing the gun.
A hobby licence was absolutely the way to go in my eyes. Joining a club, that was what I was always going to do. So
putting them straight into a firearms licensing, it's not giving anyone the opportunity to really show what can be done, I think.
Owners will have a 6-month grace period to either obtain a firearm licence or surrender their gun to police. But the gel blaster community says it won't go down without a fight, launching an online petition to try and reverse the ban.
Just gutted about it, and I hope something comes out of it.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Further border restrictions have been eased for more community members who live in towns close to the South Australian and Victorian borders. Residents now living up to 70 kilometres between these boundaries are classed as essential travellers. Those wishing to travel will still have to submit a COVID-19 test within the last 7 days or on days 1 and 12. More information on the changes can be found online. Weekly COVID testing numbers are continuing to fall in the Far West Health District. Health officials reminding locals and visitors in the region to not be complacent when it comes to getting checked for coronavirus.
COVID-19 testing numbers are on the decline in the Far West. The local health district saying there was a 31% decrease compared to last week's test numbers.
We're now testing roughly about 160 residents in Far West. That certainly is quite a drop from the early days when we were sort of looking at about 500 to 600.
The total number of coronavirus tests since the pandemic started is close to 6,000. Visitors travelling into the region making up around 1,000 of those. 2 cases were confirmed in late March. Since then, it's been clear. Health officials happy with the number of COVID screenings in the past week. 6,000 in the last 7 days, taking the total to 155,000.
I think that we are feeling more relaxed. Again, the advice is please, if you have any symptoms, come forward for testing.
Visitation at Far West health facilities will be reviewed in the coming weeks. Visiting hours and the number of visitors allowed for patients in hospital could be changed.
There is a push to reconsider visiting hours. I'll be able to give you more information on that once we have that meeting. At this point, it is business as usual, but it is under review.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Pirie doctors are fearing a shortage looming, with one medical clinic forced to cancel up to 40 appointments due to lack of staff. Despite a crisis meeting between local leaders, the state government is insisting a new training program will help combat the issue.
A passionate plea from Dr. Kajani, who treated local patients here in Port Pirie for 32 years.
At my age, I have to see 50 patients. I am working more than what is required. It is affecting our life for the doctors. We are overstretched and we need more doctors here.
He says there's too many hoops to jump through for international doctors to work regionally, including hefty fees.
Doctors who have passed their pesky, but still they were said that they are not fit to work in the country. I can't understand why not. We are all in Australia.
They've been trained and do all the qualifications and do all the testing and things like that. There still seems to be a lot of barriers there.
The member for Frome, the Mayor and key local health authorities hosting a crisis meeting to discuss these barriers and how to avoid a doctor shortage.
To understand what are the constraints, what are the barriers, and to be able to move ourselves forward going this way here.
The state government responding in a statement saying a new training program could be the solution, but Dr. Kajani is raising grave concerns with a large number of patients turned away daily.
We are booked out for a week and the other clinics are booked out for 2 weeks in advance. So the patients are suffering and that will cause problems.
In a statement, the York Mid-North Health CEO says the Port Pirie Hospital will continue to support local GPs and work with them to increase their numbers.
Be able to get a direction going forward to identify the barriers and then to address those through the relevant agencies, both state and federal.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, calls to boost the number of SES volunteers, and Hawker hit with rising waters causing headaches for motorists. Hello again. Port Augusta State Emergency Service is calling for more volunteers to boost much needed numbers. Locals will be able to tour the unit in a special information night next week and discover all the different volunteering roles available.
They're the ones we call when we're in need, and now the State Emergency Service is calling on the public to expand the unit.
We'll be opening our unit to the public for people to come in and see what we have, the assets available to help the community, and also to meet our wonderful volunteers who spend all their time out there helping the community.
Josh is one of the 9 volunteers currently in the service and has been a member for 2 years. He says he joined wanting to expand his surroundings.
Yeah, looking at learning new skills and definitely meeting new people in the unit and in the community.
Those skills put together on a wide variety of operations.
There's a lot of big opportunities out there, like in the unit that we do land search, road crash, and like rescue operations and all that, like we do vertical rescue as well.
The unit was recently spread thin during a storm that hit Port Augusta 2 weeks ago, sparking the call out for more help.
We get out there, we can help the community during the tough times, the storm and floods, during motor vehicle accidents, and just during times of disaster. So we need more volunteers to be able to provide more assistance.
The information night will be held at the unit next Monday with registrations required. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Heavy rain and severe weather in South Australia's far north has caused headaches for some travellers. This video emerging on social media of large areas of water on the Outback Highway between Hawker and Pirie yesterday afternoon. Some residents were forced to walk across with the water around 40 centimetres deep. Other roads closed included Unadata Track and the Iron Knob to Hidaba Track. Port Pirie Council is calling on residents to nominate a valuable community member for this year's Citizen of the Year. Deputy Mayor Alan Zubranick says it's an opportunity to acknowledge the remarkable work of local individuals.
Some of the people in the Port Pirie region that have worked on committees for more than 40, 50 years plus, so their input needs to be recognised. So that's why I'm really just putting a call out for the community to recognise those unsung heroes in our community.
Nominations for the awards are open, with 3 categories including Young Citizen of the Year and Community Event of the Year. Connectivity within the region is getting a boost, with a new phone tower being installed between Port Augusta and Corn. The new tower is part of the Mobile Black Spot program, aiming to improve phone coverage.
Gaining connectivity, 1 tower at a time.
There's actually around about 90 locations across the far north region that we've highlighted as needing, mobile phone towers not having or low connectivity.
This new tower is said to help boost communication through the Pirie Pass.
We've now got Telstra mobile coverage in the middle of the pass as well as at either end of it, which will certainly improve safety and security for people travelling through there should there be any incidents.
The RDA, Flinders Ranges Council and community members have been long campaigning for the towers.
We're advocating for quite some time for Pirie Pass as well as other areas. So there's quite a few that have been successful so far.
with the new connectivity aiming to help with vehicle emergencies.
Obviously, any time there are vehicle accidents or animal strikes in the pass, the first thing people would normally do is try and get their mobile out. So it does address that issue.
If there's accidents or something or incidents or anything, through somewhere like the pass or through any of these areas, this coverage means that people can use their mobile phone, to still dial assistance and stuff like that.
A way to ensure our services match surrounding areas.
Even though we're in regional areas and remote areas, we don't want to have any less connectivity than anyone in the city. And people who travel from the city expect the same when they come up here. So they don't want to, have less when they travel up here as well. So we really want to it just gives that even playing field.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. A special look at how the construction of a new Mad Max attraction at Silverton is going. And a much needed donation awarded to the Royal Flying Doctors. Welcome back. A replica of the compound from Mad Max 2 is being constructed at Silverton 40 years after the iconic film's release. Its builder says it's going to be another attraction for the busy tourist town.
An iconic film set returning to the Silverton landscape. The oil refinery, also known as the Compound, was a stronghold base in Mad Max 2, known for its large oil reserves. To celebrate the film's 40th anniversary, the complex is being rebuilt.
What better than building a full-size compound so that people in costumes can come here and reenact and vehicles and things. So that's really where the idea came from.
The project is taking shape. Fans of the film will notice the iconic tyre barricade, the pyramid shed and Papa Gallows walkway. It's being built just behind Silverton Outback Camels.
The more we can have in Silverton as a destination, the more people will attract here, the longer they'll stay here and the better the dollar spent.
Adrian assuring locals it won't meet the same demise as the Compound from the movie.
We've been allowed to leave it, so it will be an attraction. There will be people who will be able to come over here and stay and camp here, have camel rides.
No gasoline will be kept on the premises. In Silverton, Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Golf News.
An amusement show will be soon touring around the region, travelling to Port Pirie, Port Augusta and Whyalla. The show on the road is offering carnival rides and sideshow games in a bid to provide some fun in our communities. The event will be on later this month and early November. Tickets can be found online. Whyalla City Council is encouraging young local artists to participate in this year's Why Not Art Prize. The project is a collaboration between council and Defaces, aiming to encourage creativity in youths, and is giving away $1,000 in prize money. A range of art forms can be submitted, including digital, costume, painting and sculpture artwork. More information is listed on the council's website. Whyalla's Apex organisation has raised money for an important cause, handing over funds to the Royal Flying Doctors. The Emergency Health Service provides important assistance crucial to those living in regional areas.
Handing over this large cheque of $500 for a cause that hits close to home for Damien.
We've had a personal connection with our family. Our son utilised Flying Doctors when he was born. 2 days after he was born, he got a evac from Port Augusta back to Adelaide.
After experiencing the service, Damien says the Royal Flying Doctors is crucial to regional cities like Whyalla, flying patients in and out around 9 times a week.
I hear them every day of the year just about. I fly over town.
Wanting to give back, Apex held a barbecue to raise the money.
100% of what we make we donate back into the community. Hence that's why we're here today, to make a contribution to the Royal Flying Doctors.
The flying service has been running for more than 90 years.
Such a well-known organisation, the best in the world when it comes to supporting medical facilities, the outback clinics.
Grateful for the cheque, John says the money will go a long way.
It's an incredible organisation and only too proud to be part of it.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll give you all the fishing tips for this weekend. And Britt will join us with the weather details. Hello again. Time to see what's biting in the Spencer Gulf waters this weekend, with the rainy weather expected to clear up. Here are our fishing experts with their tips.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Report this week. Some really good numbers of King George whiting coming from north and south of Whyalla. Good numbers of squid in those areas as well. Down towards Point Lodi, there has been some good numbers of squid coming along the rocky coastline. Also, a few yellowtail kingfish starting to be sighted. They're not on the chew yet, but they are starting to show up. Some really good schools of salmon down towards Becky Point also.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, as you can see behind me, wasn't the best weather for the long weekend, but there was some good catches of fish, basically a big mixed bag. King George whiting still being caught down in Flinders, and also a little bit further up around Martridge's Bank as well. Crabs are still around, try a little bit deeper there. Some good salmon with these. We had a bit of rain and also the wind, so you're going to get some salmon up and around the creeks. Try around Port Patterson down to Chinaman's Creek. Silver whiting with these big high tides in the morning and a bit of wind. Try along the shacks on the shoreline there, and obviously when the tide goes out around those middle banks. There's been a few big flathead caught and also a couple of big snook out around the Letty Spit Sticky area. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. The most consistent reports we've had over the past week have been from squid from our local area. So once again over by Boston Island, along the North Shore, up at Louth Bay, has been producing some squid. Down on the south coast, when the weather allows, there's still some schools of salmon down there, so try and pick days of northerly winds for best results. Over at Coffin Bay, the farm beach grounds continue to produce some whiting, along with a few tommies, garfish and a few snook. It's still worthwhile having a slop line down with a bigger bait. There are some gummy sharks in that area. Well, that's all for tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Welcome to another week of Round the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. It's just fantastic weather at the moment. This last bit of winter is just hanging on for us. It's been fantastic by the reasoning that we'll actually get some more King George whiting. So I think we're looking around the areas of Third Creek patches, patch of King George whiting. The yellowfin whiting was supposed to have started to come in, but this hot weather is not coming forward for us. So get yourself prepared for that because there's a lot of opportunities. We've still seen a few squid being caught, so that's just fantastic. But I tell you what, this time for blue swimmer crabs is fastly approaching us, so make sure your nets are all prepared. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Now let's take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Good evening. Although we saw showers over some parts this morning, it cleared to a fine and partly cloudy afternoon. Port Augusta, Whyalla and Woodna all recorded the region's high of 19 degrees today. 18 was the top for Port Pirie. It reached 17 at Port Lincoln, with a high of 16 degrees at Kadina, Cleve and Coffin Bay. Broken Hill reached 15 today. From the satellite, we can see cloud over the region, clearing from the west as a high moves in our direction. And we'll see the effects of that high tomorrow with southwesterly winds on the Gulf waters at around 20 to 25 knots, but decreasing in the afternoon and evening. Seas at 1 to 2 metres with south to southwesterly swells in southern waters. It's looking to be a bright and sunny day. Port Lincoln with a top of 22 degrees, Cleve 24, Woodna expected to reach 26 degrees. A top of 24 for Whyalla tomorrow, Port Augusta 25, Kadina 23, Port Pirie also 23, Clare 19, Broken Hill with a top of 20 degrees. Taking a quick look ahead to the weekend now, mostly sunny conditions expected on Saturday. Warming up again with a top of 29 degrees for Woodna. Port Augusta expected to reach 28, looking at a top of 27 at Whyalla and Port Pirie. Broken Hill and Kadina both 24, Port Lincoln 21. Sunday fine and partly cloudy across the region, looking at a top of 31 degrees at Port Augusta, Woodna 30, Port Pirie 29, Whyalla with a top of 28 degrees and a high of 26 for Kadina and Broken Hill, Port Lincoln 23. And moving on to Monday, another fine and partly cloudy day across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill regions. Port Augusta with an expected top of 32 degrees, Woodna 31, a high of 29 for Port Pirie, Whyalla 28, Broken Hill and Kadina 27 and a top of 24 degrees for Port Lincoln. So Ruby, it looks like we've got some warm days on the way.
Lovely, thanks for that, Britt. Before we leave you tonight, a great white shark has put on a show for stunned crew members off the coast of Port Lincoln, with the apex predator launching into the air just metres from a shark cage dive. The white pointer powering straight up from below and flying into the air before splashing back down, certainly leaving the crew in awe. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.